Hey, hello, howdy, how you doing? Welcome back to another Project Zomboid video. With John Wick Chapter 4 releasing, I thought, why not make a video loosely based around a minuscule quote from a movie made almost 10 years ago?
I once saw him kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil.
You already read the title and clicked on the video, so clearly you know the premise. But you may be asking yourself, Preds, how are you going to get all those pencils? It's going to take thousands to accomplish this task. And for that, the answer is pretty simple. I run 2 Project Zomboid servers, so I hopped into my whitelisted server and demanded tribute from several YouTube members, forcing them to line up and donate every pencil in their possession. This inevitably led to a town hall meeting, so let's check in on how that's going. Alright, well, we'll let them figure it out and get back to the actual content. Now, some were able to give more than others, but since we've resorted to an almost blissful state of communism on the server, I treated them all as equals, giving them all the gracious payment of a bullet to the head. The music in this video is a little different than the normal lo-fi type stuff that I usually include because I wanted to find music that I think would fit well in a John Wick movie. I even tried to purchase a license for Marilyn Manson's Killing Strangers, which is a staple in the original movie, but unfortunately it's not accessible for monetization purposes at this time. Now that we have the pencils needed, it's time to find some zombies. I chose March Ridge because we're well over a week into wipe at this point, and it's one of the only cities left that hasn't been completely decimated so far. I grabbed 2 duffel bags, filled them with pencils, and set out to cause some chaos. The base stats of a pencil are pretty egregious. They do both a minimum and maximum damage of 0.1, so the only scaling I'll be able to take is from the action hero trait, which in turn puts me in greater danger. On top of this, the maximum range is 0.8, meaning at best I'm sharing the same tile as the zombies I'm stabbing at, making me an easy target to grab when I turn to run away and put some space between us. But yeah, if you've ever wondered what taking on hundreds of zombies with looks like, here you go. fell back once the sun set since it was becoming too difficult to locate any stragglers. So far, I've racked up 178 kills through 64 pencils. I could go back to March Ridge the next day, but I was more focused on other cities. As I sat in the driveway slamming bourbons, I settled on my next destination. So the next morning, I set off for Fort Rock Ridge, a settlement just outside of Riverside. I was able to make it through a couple gates before setting up my first stint. There's a ton of zombies in the road right outside of the compound, so I chose to focus on those first before heading in. The big issue here is space. There's a ton of cars everywhere, and a lot of them are placed against each other, forming these kind of car-like walls. Outside of that, there's literal walls in terms of fencing with barbed wire on top, preventing any form of escape. On top of all of that, it's foggy as shit here. Luckily, the fog cleared up after a couple hours, and by the end of the first engagement, I managed to bring my kill total up to above 350. Moving into the compound, I took on another 70 zombies. It was around this time that I noticed a bug with multiplayer, at least for me. It's been like 9 hours in game, and I'm still stuffed according to my moodles. I even tried relogging between the exterior by the cars and walking through the gates, and it looks like it's still stuck, so I'm not quite sure what to do with it. After clearing out the southern end, I backed out and drove up to the north side of the fort. This is where I ran into the strangest desync I've ever experienced in Zomboid. Has this ever happened to any of you? If so, does anyone know what actually causes this? Because this is the first time it's ever happened to me before, and I have no idea how to trigger it, but I wasn't able to run away. I got stuck in like the act of running. Anyway, sorry for the distraction. Back to the never-ending void that is conga line combat. Wrapping up at Fort Rock Ridge, my kill total is up to 586 pencil kills. At this point, we need around 400 more kills, and I can only think of one final place to hit up. And that would be Bedford Falls. Located to the southeast of Muldra, it's a large modded town that has become a staple in all of our PZ server wipes, going back to my first server wipe ever. It's got a population on par with Louisville, along with some really cool POIs, so I grabbed my duffel bag full of pencils and set off. Another quick interjection, but I wanted to take a moment to admire Filibuster Rhymes' used cars mod, which allowed me to find almost the exact Mustang used in the first John Wick movie, and listen to how badass this thing sounds. The entrance to the city was clearer than I was expecting, though I still had my work cut out for me. It only got more difficult as I pushed into the city since the roads were completely lined with car wreckage, making escape lanes much harder to find and exploit. The middle of the city was the most difficult. It was at this point where I contemplated just turning around and heading home. The big issue here is there were so many zombies that I was actually dropping frames when I turned to aim at the group, making it incredibly difficult to land shots while also turning away at the same time. My main focus here was to just not get overly confident. I tried to land 2 to 3 hits per backwalk before resetting at another portion of the horde. The best strategy for this was to manipulate the zombies into forming almost like a pyramid that would funnel a few zombies ahead of the others, making it much safer to hit them. One thing that was really frustrating to deal with through the entire challenge was the fact that my character would almost stutter step when I turned to run every once in a while, and sometimes would just flat out not run at all, and then would turn back around. So for example, if I pushed A to move me away from the zombies, if I tapped shift at the same time, there'd be instances where my character would just 180 as if I was pressing D, which almost got me killed multiple times through this playthrough. That being said, it's going to take more than Zomboid bugs and weird running glitches to kill me. No. See, I prefer car crashes to do that. This was one of the more difficult challenges I've ever taken on in Zomboid. In total, it took almost 1,200 pencils to pull this off. I never thought I'd ever sit down one day and think of something as stupid as this, but it was very satisfying to fulfill, and I'm excited for future challenges like this. A massive thank you to Nina, Zuggs, Barunka, Ash, Dan, and Marcus for allowing me to take some pencils off their hands. Along with them, I want to thank all of my other YouTube members and Patreon supporters for their help in making it possible to run these kind of servers. This video wouldn't have been possible without your support. I appreciate you all. And as always, thanks for stopping by.